if we were to give a quick 1 minute non-spoiler review, I would say this film has more action, more satisfying payoff. It gets darker, and my favorite part is that it's a little bit more humor than the first one.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, especially the darker element, yeah, there's a bit more violence you don't expect to see, a bit more brutality, I think. And also, like, the scale of it just seems to expand even more, I think. Like,
It
yeah, you
does.
already saw the whole world being built in the first movie, but the second one, you just kind of see how it expands even more.
Exactly. Neil, any non-spoiler thoughts before we get into spoilers?
I mean, you guys basically covered it, but I would say that this movie it is lisan al gaib over 10, man. It is the Mahdi over 10. That this movie is so good. I was, you know how you go into a movie, certain movies you just go in and you enjoy watching just the graphics of it, and you come out, you feel satisfied. It's like, okay, I watched the movie. Me, good or bad, you enjoy the graphics of it. It's a decent story. But you go and then you come out like, wow, that was a movie. For example, if let's say I would say Madam Web just came out, I will go come out of the movie like, wow, that was a movie. That actually made it into a movie. I went into this and came out and said, wow, now that was a movie. Holy hell, that was a movie. I was exhausted by the end of that movie. My
It,
heart rate
it
went
is
up. My watch literally recorded my heart rate going up. Like when he was walking through I mean, parts of the movie towards the end, especially, my God, my watch literally said, your heart rate is going up, man. I was having a workout while watching a movie.
like, I just want to know, let's start with just, we don't have to go a breakdown of each part of the film. I just want to know what stuck in your mind when you first started watching it. I would just say, like, first of all, I like the first one. I love the second one more just because there's so many battles and payoffs. I love just getting introduced to these characters. Even the character like Shani, like, I love how the Fremen have two sides. You've got the northern side who are more critical, and you've got the southern side who are living in such a difficult, inhospitable area that the only reason they're alive is because of fate. Their
All
fate
right,
is
spoiler alert, people. Whoever's listening, spoiler alert.
okay. We'll give a sort of non. Okay, oh gosh, that's such a good point. Okay, you know what? We're gonna give a non-spoiler. You know what? Okay, a quick non-spoiler
No, we
review.
can we can just put up like a spoiler alert warning at the beginning, and then so
True.
this is your warning.
True. If we were
So
to give, honestly, I would love to just jump into that. Just the tension of the character of Paul. He starts out of as well, we're in spoilers right now. He starts off as a reluctant hero who becomes sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like
yes,
initially, even he's not fully on board with this, and he's just like, I just want to avenge my father and help you people. And I think he still sticks to those first two, but he becomes something more towards the middle part. And what are your thoughts on him as a main character?
I think he really did go through the sort of, the old, typical old hero's journey archetype kind of plot, the typical thing where it's like there's a call to action, he refuses at first, and then something major happens where he has to take up the reins and move towards or what he's called to do. And he willingly does it, and he comes out of it as a stronger person, ready to lead the people.
I
And I
like
think that whole progress that he goes through, yeah, it's perfectly captured, man. And you kind of want to root for him, even though you know that there will be repercussions for what he's about to do.
Yes, exactly. Neil, did you feel like you were onto his hero's journey? And maybe did you like the contrast of Chani kind of telling him like, don't do this, because she's very critical of this whole operation. Like she does not buy it for a second. So what did you think about that, Neil?
honestly, I like Chinese character. I wish there could be more like offered than just. Honestly, I feel like her character could be expanded upon more. But I like that she doesn't just follow along. She has her own way of thinking.
Mm.
But I would say if there was a female lead, it was Rebecca Ferguson's character. Lady Jessica, the Reverend Mother, was just sinister in this movie. I came out of it like, damn. But I would say Paul as a hero, I wouldn't say he went through the hero's journey, but to quote a line I heard from a movie, you either live long enough to be remembered a hero or become a villain. I know I'm butchering it, but I'm
Uh,
the lines, man. But
Couldn't die a
he
hero or live long enough to be a villain.
exactly, there we go. Thank you, TBK. So I feel like his hero's journey has now moved on to the fact that he's no longer a hero. He's become a person that needed to be there to further his cause. He influenced people. So it just goes to say that during times like this, during times of crisis, someone will rise up. This person may not be the true Messiah, but people will follow. And where that will lead, who's to say?
I know you're absolutely right. There's so much tension in this film. Like even scenes towards the end where he's just walking, he's menacing, you know? Like he's just menacing when he's walking across the sand. Like even who's the big guy? Raban played by
Just
Bautista.
Dave Bautista, yeah.
Yes, like there's a moment where he sees this Al Muad'Dib coming through the desert storm and he's like terrified. And that's the general gist of it. Is like he kind of becomes darker and more terrifying, Paul, towards the film as the film progresses, you know. And by the time he takes the water of life, he's just a changed man, you know. That we'll just kind of bounce around little moments and we'll get to the war console scene, which I feel it's like one of the greatest scenes I've seen in a while. But
That's when my heart went up.
but like to kind of bring a little bit of levity to the situation, like not Stellan Skarsgård, wrong guy.
Oscar.
Javier Bardem as Stilgard was
Yeah.
he made my crowd laugh. I don't know about your crowd, but like he would do things like he's such a fanatic, but it empowers him in such a way. And he's like, I don't care what you believe, I believe. Just the expression on his face is so intense. And he would just make these jokes all the time. I don't think he's intending to be funny, but like jokes like when you hear
Yeah.
just the screaming of Jessica, and then he's like, and now we pray. Or like when
No,
Paul is like, I am not the
my-
Messiah, and he just brings his friends over and he's like, see how humble
Wow.
he is.
humble he is. That is my favorite of his jokes.
He
Like,
does not want
even
to
when he
admit
does,
that's why he's the that's why he's the
he broke
Messiah.
the tension completely. His character is such a revelation in that movie.
Yeah, and then like when Paul is riding the worm later on, it's like it is as if it is prophesized because they prophesized it.
Dude,
like the
at the end,
confirmation bias is real, man.
I know. The more he denies it, the more harder Stilgard pushes for it, you know.
you know what's a funny thing?
What?
At the very end, when the battle was done, and then Paul was injured, he was standing up. He didn't say anything, and then still got Lisan al-Gaib straight away without missing a beat, man. Straight up, any opportunity, Paul breathes Lisan al-Gaib.
He's the biggest hype man ever, man.
He is
He's the biggest hype man. Exactly. You nailed it. He's a hype man.
I like even like when he picks his name, like I want to be known as Al Muad'Dib, the what's the rat, you know? And then
Yeah.
Stilgard is like, but the rat is powerful. It makes its own water. Truly, he's the one. Just constantly. He's like, truly.
No, but even the fact that the funny thing is the way that Paul actually acts like he doesn't know the name, even though he does know the name. In the first movie, he learned about the name. He purposely acts like he doesn't know the name to garner the trust of the famine. And the second moon itself is known as Muad'Dib, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so it's like it's such a guiding force for the famine, and he purposely picked that name.
Yeah, and it's just so bizarre. The contrast between Chani and Stilgard's character was so delightful. Like,
Good, yeah.
yeah, just absolutely delightful. Although Jessica, and I'll give a credit to like the acting she communicates with the baby. Like those moments were intense, you know, like when she's talking to Paul, but she's conveying the thoughts of the child. I was like, that is so freaky, you know. She becomes like full Palpatine in this film.
Yeah, the acting on the fetus was perfect as well, man. Like props to this, man.
What did you guys react when you saw who the fetus becomes?
I was like, yo, they got a big name actor, Anna Taylor-Joy, just for that cameo scene. I'm like, wow.
10 seconds on the final film, yeah. Because when she turns around, I'm like, we all are like, we know that face.
I know her. It's literally pull up the Leonardo DiCaprio meme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was like, 10 seconds of the movie and then she was done. I'm like, yo, everyone wants to get on that Dune train, man. Dune worm. Wants to get on that worm.
Everybody wants to get it. Speaking of the worm, though, that worm scene, like I saw it on the trailer, but like just you barely see the whole scope of it because that thing is so big. I love how they said like, oh my gosh, not that big, not that big.
You know?
Yeah, when he summoned the grandfather worm, yeah.
Grandfather worm.
And then it's like, listen, Al Gaib, he summoned the grandfather. What?
I love it.
Honestly, Dune is one of the very few movies I never watched the trailer for Dune 1 or 2. I literally went in
Dude, I am
with
so jealous of you because there's
I
some scenes where I'm like, I wish I didn't watch that in the trailer a little bit.
don't watch anything purposely because didn't watch the trailer for Dune 1. I went into it, I was like, because we don't get much exposition. There's not much exposition from like a lot of movies. And I was confused and I rewatched them. I'm like, okay, I understand. And
Yeah.
then I wanted the same feeling for Dune 2. I just wanted to get that everything. And then I got everything. I was like, damn, that was a movie.
It
Honestly,
was.
so I got comments about that movie. I don't know whether you guys got. It's just like some funny comments I was thinking of.
Oh no, no, we could. But first, I just want to highlight one more thing. Is like, the Fremen, you fully get their culture. Like when you see like a giant pool where they're collecting water, saying this will replenish the planet and we will have a green Arrakis or something. And later on, when that thing gets destroyed, you do kind of feel it, the pain. But the
Yeah.
part where they are like when they're being chased by Sardaukar in the beginning of the film, and then they take their water from them. Some of them are still alive.
Yeah, they did.
Like them, and they're like their water is dirty, but it can cool our machines or something like
Make
that.
a good coolant.
Good coolant. The water is full of chemicals, and then you just see Jessica just vomit, and I'm like, is that morning sickness or is she actually disgusted? Like you don't really know
Oh,
at that point.
morning sickness.
The scene where she drinks the water of life, and then there's this editing trick that Denis Villeneuve does where he's like cutting back and forth between the old Reverend Mother and Jessica, and it just works so well. But you see the blue thing affect the baby, and I found that kind of disturbing.
No, I liked it. I was like, the moment when the old Reverend Mother was like, she's pregnant. How
What
could
have
we
we
have done this?
done?
What have we done? I was like, yo, what did you do? I don't understand.
I
I
know.
need more. I need more plot.
And
Yeah,
then,
man, the intensity and like the whole like rushing kind of nature of that soul scene was sick, man.
Yo,
it's
that whole part, I was like,
and then
yo.
it's the scene is so tense, and then Stilgard later is like, and now we pray. Like, what the fuck is this guy? Oh my gosh.
I really like the scene where like when she kind of brought out the adolescent sandworm to extract the liquid.
yeah,
Yo,
like
that was
Yeah.
it was so
because
neat,
My,
man.
it felt mean.
my friend has another name for it.
Oh yeah, that thing. First of all, I love the practical effect of like the little. I don't know what they do to get that, but it was so cool just seeing a little sandworm. Because I'm like, oh, what do they look like as a baby? Oh, just like that. Okay, and then he drowns it.
I
Yikes.
mean,
Honestly, and then she gets I don't know what is that, worm fluid.
Yeah, and then she makes the caretaker like she uses a voice.
someone called it worm piss.
Someone called it worm sperm.
I think the official answer is that it's worm bile. But before we get to the ending, I would love to hear from like Neil the comments. Maybe just a couple of comments. Can you give it to us while we still have some time?
Yeah. You know, like how I know we've been talking like spoiler stuff, but you know how towards the end when they blasted the nukes and the sand was falling, and there was a guy just trying to pull up the flag.
I know, I didn't notice that guy.
Dedicated to that protocol. Like, two guys came up to hold that flag.
I was like, that's some commitment right there.
That was some dedication to the flag right there.
Yeah.
And doing that thing, where did they get all those Atreides flags? Where did those flags come from?
I don't. In my head, it was like they were next to the nukes for some reason. Just like you store the flags next to the nukes, like the most American thing ever. I like to imagine that all the nukes in America are just covered with the American flag, just pure patriotism. But I do like when he's like, "We got enough nukes to bomb the planet," and then you just see
Everyone is like looking
Just
at it.
it's an expression.
figure of speech.
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
like
the Fremen show do have that.
I do like when that character comes in, and then there's like a scene where they're quietly traversing to the canyon. He's just, how many people you have? Just like he's just so noisy, and that's what
Exactly.
we've become the Fremen, and like he's such an outsider to us suddenly. One more
Exactly.
funny scene is in
Dirty man.
Chinese. One more funny scene is in Chinese, like this prophecy is how they enslave us, and I think Gurney just pulls her down. Did you
Yeah.
see that?
Oh my God, that was so sudden. I didn't expect him to like
You know,
so aggressively just yank
Suddenly
her
he
down.
becomes one of the Fremen. He's like, okay, we must do the proper Fremen protocols.
Yes, exactly. And like no woman in the inner circle. And then Paul just goes to the center. And I like how like the Fremen are pretty badass. Like when Paul threatens them a little bit, they just all pull out their knives. And then he does the craziest sermon I've ever seen. He goes through like each major clan and just said he goes to some clans and he says something that targets them, like your grandmother died getting hit by a stone and blah blah blah. And then he
Actually, I have a question about that.
yeah.
Okay, is it just mine, or did you all see she got hit by a stone or a worm at 12 years old?
I know.
Like what?
I found it a
So
bit
it's not.
weird. I did that's a
So
really young
at what
child.
age did she get pregnant? Bloody
I,
hell!
I did hear that, and I'm like, maybe he was referring to a traumatic incident in his grandmother's life. But I did hear that, and I'm like,
He
what?
did. Maybe when
Does
he
that make
was 12.
sense? Yeah.
Maybe when he was 12.
I don't. I heard that when I heard 12, like my mind kind of like, wait, none of this makes sense. I don't care. This speech is so good. And then
Yeah.
Stilgard is the most fanatic. He just suddenly pulls out his knife. He's like, yeah. He has this expression
Yeah.
on his face. Oh, but we can't deny the scene where he tells Chani, like, I will love you as long as I breathe. I will take the princess's hand in marriage. And then you just
And
see
oof, and oof.
That was
Honestly,
powerful.
I knew that was coming because in the first movie he did tell the judge of the change. I forgot what's her name, but he did tell her, I will change Arrakis for the better. I will marry the emperor has no sons. I will marry his daughter.
Oh, okay.
And
That is-
it was
Foreshadowing.
foreshadowed. Yeah,
Damn, all right, all right. I gotta watch the first one again, maybe. But
do it.
that's such a
Quite
cool
slow.
detail you noticed. Yeah, but like Chani's defiance, it's not in the book, but I kind of respected it, just a contrary point of view. However, he does say like she will come around. So, we're probably gonna see how that goes. I would love if he takes her to his planet because Caladan is such a lovely, beautiful water planet. I would love to see. Okay, so near the end of this film, I just realized when I was on the way to this call, he's basically got four armies. He's got his Arrakis weapons and armory back. He's defeated the Harkonnen army, which means that he has their equipment. He's recruited the Arrakis Fremen, so that's three armies. And now that he's marrying the princess, he's got the Emperor's army. He's got four fucking armies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
I mean,
yeah.
you need armies to do a holy war, man.
Because he wants to defeat every other royal house. Do we know how many there are in total?
Not sure.
They never
14?
really go into. I would love to see some names, like some more world building of the other worlds. I feel like that's something that's a little bit.
Dune Messiah gets adapted.
I've heard Dune Messiah gets into that.
Will. I'm sure it will.
Imagine a third film that's just full on a holy war.
Yo.
Space
I wonder if it'll be a bit like Lord of the Rings, where it's like a war like expands more.
I think maybe it'll be like Game of Thrones as well because it's all the different houses. Atreides is like House Stark, and then Harkonnens is like the Lannisters.
I would absolutely love that. Yeah, in fact, I would love to just like since we got about 5 minutes left. Neil, you want to pull out one more comment while I open up the box office page?
Yeah. So basically, another thing is like why I call it later when you found out. Big spoiler now. Jessica is part Harkonnen.
Oh yes.
That was Jon Snow for me.
He's a Targaryen all along. Sorry, TBK, I don't know if you get this.
And then she was not like purely white. And I found out, okay, so they are not genetically white, they're painted white.
Oh yeah, so, the sun.
I mean, the Harkonnen.
The Harkonnen sun kind of creates a monochrome color. So that's pretty cool though, that effect.
I mean, Gator's Prime, maybe, but I see like what do you call it? What's his name? The Baron in the oil bath. It wasn't white. Maybe it's body paint. So I was just like thinking to myself, imagine when the Emperor just comes in last minute. It's like, wait, give me a second. I need to paint myself white. I can put myself in paint.
I know, but I think the working theory is that the sun kind of creates a monochrome layer. I do love the ink blot Rorschach fireworks. I just love these kind of world building details,
Those were fireworks? I thought those were rain.
Oh, it's like fireworks. It's like ink blot fireworks. It is pretty. I just love. Grady Prime. I would love for it to be conquered by Paul in the next film because I just would love to see him in that sort of black and white aesthetic. Just being like, what the heck?
Yeah, the guy next to me in the cinema was literally narrating the movie.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry, man.
That's the ring. That's the Atreides ring.
I know. Dude, in the next film, I would love to see. Okay, Anya Taylor-Joy is a bit too old to play. Maybe you'll get a younger version of his sister. But I would love to see Jessica needs to come back. Imagine Stilgard's reaction to Caladan. Just all that water. He's gonna jump into the water and drown if he could.
Maybe I'll find a sequel.
Oh yeah, Denis Villeneuve did say he'll wait a little bit, maybe 3 to 5 years. But I feel like this was a satisfactory ending that I don't mind waiting a little bit. Just do it right, like The Dark Knight.
Exactly.
They didn't rush that. Just do it right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually, I don't know whether you guys noticed the fight at the end. I don't know, is this me or was it like it looked very similar to the training montage with Gurney? Not montage, sorry, the training with Gurney.
Exactly.
It
Even the
looks
way it ends with him
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
getting stabbed
so
through
okay, so it's not just me.
stabbing.
So it is okay, okay.
And the first Dune
Very,
did not
very
have
neat
that.
detail.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, the 1980s Dune did not have that. Sorry, TBK, say.
No, let's not go there. Let's not go
Okay.
to the.
No,
We're
no,
like,
no,
that's
say,
not
say,
good.
say. Let's go there.
Oh no, no. I
Set.
mean, I was just saying that yeah, like the detail you mentioned where it kind of mirrors the training fight that he had with Gurney in the first movie. Yeah, that was really neat.
Mm.
Yeah.
It was really neat. I feel like you are rewarded if you watch the first film. Denis Villeneuve said
It's
you
a
don't
lot of
have to.
callbacks.
A
It's
lot
a
of
lot of callbacks.
callbacks, yeah. With about 2 minutes left, though, guys, I would love to just hear like what you believe this movie can make, and we'll follow up with each other in a few weeks. But what do you think this movie can make? I've made it very clear. I think it will double its original box office from 400 million to 800 million. Does anybody here have hope that it will become 1 billion? Raise your hand.
Me.
Okay, okay. So Neil is going for 1 billion. We'll see our estimates. Remember, this is just a fun kind of game. But
I think it will
TBK,
come close. I think 970 million.
so kind of like
Specific.
Oppenheimer.
Almost. It's gonna touch it, It's almost there. You can almost feel the spice.
TBK, what about you?
Mm, I think because it is still a bit more esoteric compared to like more well-known franchises. So I think it won't quite hit 1 billion. I think it'll be between 500 to 800 billion.
Between
A
500
million,
to
sorry,
500,
million.
800 billion.
million,
Million,
million.
sorry, I misspoke.
Holy hell. Forget
That is,
shattering the box office
That'll be
and you're
insane.
taking all the
yeah.
different houses.
In my
The
opinion,
famine are coming to watch.
yeah. I think it's got 4 weeks to make good money, and then Godzilla versus Kong is coming out. Warner Brothers, why would you release? It's the same company releasing it too. Like, why don't you just give Dune at least a month and a half? Why would you give it only 4 weeks? I don't know, Warner Brothers,
And
but
it's on IMAX as well. It's taking up the IMAX cinema.
yes, exactly. So I'm like, Warner Brothers, you're just making so many silly decisions. Hopefully, a Superman movie is great. We'll see about that. But hey, guys, we've got about 20 seconds left. So this is fun to just kind of go crazy about Dune. It's just so good to watch it all with you all. And
It's
I had
a movie is genuinely my hope of the cinema. The
exactly,
reason why IMAX exists is to watch this movie. People
exactly.
go watch this
Cinema.
movie.